Good morning. Welcome to the Energize Cloud podcast. My name is Will Sutton. I am the head of cloud and DevOps recruitment here at Energize across Germany. And today we are going to be discussing with our guest, David, the current state of the cloud market across Germany and Europe from a hiring perspective and what to expect going into Q4 and early 2024. So welcome, David. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning, Will. Good morning.
If you'd be so kind, if you could just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do, that would be great, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for having me here today and at this wonderful morning. I'm living close to Munich. As you can see, it's sunny, so it's very hot today here close to Munich with my wife and with my dog. In the past 15, 20 years, I've been in professional IT environment. I've been having a lot of different roles. Started very early with development and software architecture, moved over to consultancy. I was also working for Google and for Microsoft as a specialized engineer, let's say it like this. And all the years I was involved in cybersecurity and in cloud topics and automation. So I've been also been a speaker at many PowerShell conferences. And then after Google, I moved a little bit more into the management track, let's say. So I was architect for Munich Re environment, which was very interesting because it's a different type of working when you are speaking also to business and you need to propose the business value, not just be on the technical side. And then at Sutton, I had the chance to lead the IT environment. So I was the head of computing at Sutton with 40 people and a dedicated budget for cloud and for IT infrastructure. And I've been running this for more than 1.5 years, which was a very interesting time. And afterward, I took the conclusion, okay, everything that I learned over the last 15 years were really interesting, but now I need to make a change. So I moved over to consultancy. So this was my home base. And today I'm the CEO of Shift Avenue, and we are a consultancy focusing on very highly skilled professionals. Yeah, that's it.
Brilliant.
That's it.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say, David, you are a true cloud expert. You've worked with some incredibly credible organizations and you've taken that leap and of setting up your own consultancy. I've had the pleasure of knowing David for quite a while now, and it's safe to say he definitely knows his stuff. So I think, look, let's get into it then. So what would you say is your current assessment of hiring in this type of market that we're currently in at the moment from a cloud and DevOps perspective?
Yeah. I mean, the current situation in the market is a little bit, let's call it depressive. So the macroeconomic situation is not the best due to war, due to energy crisis, and there's a lot of reluctance and hesitance from the customers. So you can see many customers are kind of reluctant to hire people, to invest in people, especially the more mature and the more expensive roles and positions. Nevertheless, you can still see there are many cloud programs, cloud transformation programs, cybersecurity programs running. And this is also a requirement which we will continue to see in the IT market. So yes, the situation currently is not the best, but my personal expectation is that we will see an increase of the demand very soon. Many companies, they have already internally the roles planned and plan also to open them as soon as they have a budget and as soon as they plan again to restart the programs again. So my expectation would be end of this year, starting next year, we will see again a higher demand. And the key challenge for the companies will be to attract and to retain talent. I think this is the current issue and challenges from the market. Many are able to attract talent, but retaining talent is one of the tough things these days. And you can see it, for example, in the cybersecurity industry. People are leaving companies in masses. CISOs are leaving companies in masses. And I think the retaining of great talent, this is the key challenge today.
Yeah, I think you've covered a lot of topics there, and I'd like to delve into some of the different points that you've mentioned. I think, from our side as well, we've noticed that there is a hesitance due to a lot of external factors across the market, that people are potentially reluctant to hire or are potentially reluctant to spend money due to the uncertainty that is in the market.
Yeah.
I think one thing I'd like to ask you about there, based on what you've said to me, what's your opinion on companies hiring at the moment? Do you feel that companies are reluctant to hire at the minute?
A bit, yes. The reason is very simple. So IT is unfortunately always seen as a cost center, like a commodity, like electricity. As soon as it flows, everyone is happy. When it stops, everyone is crying. The cheaper it is, the better. So the same thing as electricity. And unfortunately, top management people don't understand the real value behind IT. So they imagine they can simply stop an IT project or program from one day to another and start it again in 3 months' time without having any disruptants, without having any additional costs. But surprise, there will be additional costs. So what is currently running? All the budgets are currently freezed, or the majority of the budgets, because these kind of managers think they can simply stop the IT programs, which I don't think is actually a good strategy. They are just waiting for end of the fiscal year to save a little bit time, also to save a little bit time for maybe something more important than IT. I would say, we are currently in a digital transformation. What is more important than IT and change management and the transformation itself in the digital transformation market? I would not say much, but this is the current situation. So I would declared as, yes, there is a little bit the reluctance of hiring, but behind the scenes there's already some opening, there's already some planning going on. Many of the companies, they have an internal list, an internal organization structure. There are like 50, 100, 200 positions already planned for the upcoming time. I would not give too many on the current situation. So there will definitely increase the demand, and the positions will get opened very soon. And what you also need to understand, some positions are still being searched for. So for example, architect positions, cybersecurity positions, if companies are able to get in touch with these kind of people and to get an application from a good fit, they would really be let's call it not so intelligent to let them just go. So they would be like well advised to speak with them, no matter they have a position or not currently open, because these people, they are very rare on the market, and you will be lucky to find those for your company today.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think we've noticed that businesses that perhaps were hiring very actively have almost put a stop on any hiring plans, hiring freezes until the new year, perhaps. But you've talked a little bit about the impact of that. You said you can stop an IT project and then resume it 3 months later, but you wouldn't recommend it. What's a negative impact then of actually just stopping hiring altogether and waiting till next year?
Yeah, stopping hiring, when you hire people, just think of the onboarding time. To get a new person on board and effectively running their topics, they will very likely need like 3 to 6 months to get up to speed. Delaying now the whole hiring process, there are like dozens or even hundreds of people delayed. And companies just think they can like hire 50 people like this in a nutshell, and also get them on board and get them up to speed. to speed from zero to hero, this is not going to happen. So the challenge will be, due to not continuously hiring people, you increase also a very large backlog. And the backlog will increase the difficulties when you start hiring again, because you will not be able to find so many people at the same point in time. And even if you would reduce the overall speed of your company. Because when you are hiring like 50 people at the same time, these people, they need to be onboarded, they need to train, they need also to understand the environment. So typically, bringing more people in makes you in the first step slower. And this is what companies also need to understand and be aware of.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I would agree. Yeah, it's obviously a lot easier to hire 2 people a month than it would be to try and hire 10 people in one go. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people that will be listening to this, and a lot of people that I speak to that are engineers themselves, or hands-on technical professionals. Some may have unfortunately been the victims of some of the redundancies, the big tech layoffs that have been happening. Some that may be looking for a new opportunity have probably felt that the market has gone a little bit quieter, and they've struggled to have the amount of opportunities that they maybe saw 12 months ago or possibly longer. If you're a if you're a technically skilled cloud specialist listening to this, what would you say to them if they were to ask, is there a demand for their skill set still?
Yeah. So there's a simple answer to this. Yes. If you are good, if you are experienced, if you are skilled, there's always a demand for you, and there will be always a demand for you for the next 20 years. Or let's say 10 years. We want to be too visionary, but 10 years is definitely a timeline which I can definitely approve. The reason is very simple. If you look, I'm sitting in the German market, so I know the German and the European market, and I can tell you that the majority of the skills which are required in the majority of the companies, so cloud transformation, architect, cloud architect, security architect, cloud security architect, DevOps and DevSecOps. So this is the whole, let's say, roles which are sitting there. There are not enough people to fulfill the whole landscape of the open positions and for the companies. And what you also need to be aware of, many companies didn't even start yet to run a full cloud transformation or digital transformation. So all of the small, medium-sized companies, they have been very reluctant moving to cloud. So there are plenty of the small, medium-sized companies which are currently discussing or starting to migrate, starting some programs to get on speed. So the demand for people will increase. The demand today is already high, and the demand for highly skilled people is even higher. Because to be highly skilled, you need experience, you need certifications, you need to learn every day, because cloud is a never ending, changing market. So you need to continuously learn, and you need to have the right culture, the mindset for this. This reduces the overall landscape of people that are fulfilling these roles and this skill set radically. I mean, if you are a really good engineer, my recommendation would be keep your eyes open, get in contact with people. IT is a people business. So you should build up your network, you should reach out to people. And the second thing is, many engineers and architects which I know, they just look at the career pages which they are used to have a look at. But behind the scenes, there are more positions opened at companies. And this is the reason why you need to have a connection to someone, you need also to have the network. And you need maybe to directly reach out to the companies which you are interested in, because sometimes I've very often seen this. The really good people, even if there's no position open, the companies will make a position open.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think if you've got a niche skill set or a particularly high demand skill set, then like you said, businesses know that these people are very hard to find. They don't grow on trees, and I'm sure they would make an opportunity for them. A couple of things that you've talked about, DevSecOps, you've mentioned the word security a number of times. I'd like to jump into that topic very, very shortly, because it's actually a skill set that I've noticed come up a lot more frequently on job descriptions and has been a requirement. We've seen a huge amount of demand for, particularly in the last few months, that maybe wasn't actually considered as a combination with DevOps. Before I go into that, though, you talked about there is demand, there will be demand for the next 10 years. Good people are always needed. A lot of people listening to this will be, good engineers. But what would you say? When would you define it will pick up again in terms of the market, the demand? When do you think it will actually pick up for everyone, not just those with the really, really niche skills?
Yeah. So what currently happened was the tech industries, they laid off the people without any good reason doing so, despite one or two examples. So the market is a little bit more, let's say, volatile. So more people are searching, more people are trying to get a position. And the customers are a little bit hesitant these days. Nevertheless, there are two topics which will 100% sure come back again. One is everything around cyber and cybersecurity. I mean, the reason is very, very simple. The attack, the adversaries and the threats are increasing. You can also see the number of compromises are increasing. The cost of a breach is increasing on a year-to-year base. So these are very simple things. You cannot stop cybersecurity. So we touch based on DevSecOps and we will touch base on it. So this will be definitely a skill set which will be hired in the next months as well. And also the cloud transformations, I would expect them end of this year, starting next year. So when the fiscal years of the companies is over this year, the companies, you cannot stop a cloud transformation program. Imagine you are running a cloud transformation program and you have a total cost of ownership analysis and you have a return of invest analysis. And this total cost of ownership analysis includes the final state. The final state means you migrate everything from on-premise to the cloud. So stopping now this cloud transformation programs and these cloud migrations prevents you from fulfilling your return of invest. So in the end, the pressure will increase, the costs will increase, so that the companies, they need to finish it. They need to get it done. So my expectation is 2024 will be the year where it starts to catch up. And afterward, the 4 to 5 years afterward, there will be a very high boom phase where many cloud transformations are running, where many cloud security programs are running, and where also a lot of governance programs will be run. So my expectation next year.
Okay. Thank you. And I think that'll probably, give people some reassurance. I think my advice would be for people that maybe aren't urgently looking for a new role, maybe stick where they are for now, and revisit the market again in the new year. I think that would be safe. But I think what David is saying and what I would also agree with is, if you are looking for a new opportunity, or perhaps you're unhappy where you are, if you have got good, solid skills, get in touch with businesses. There will be opportunities out there for you. Good businesses always want good people.
Exactly,
so yeah.
Exactly. And the best point in time to reach out for companies for new roles is when you are having a safe own job and you are not like 100% under pressure to find a new job. This is the best situation because you can very calmly and safely go into the interviews and see what happens. So this is also my recommendation to the people, and you can also train your interviewing skills.
Good advice, and again, I would agree completely with that. So you've mentioned cyber, security, DevSecOps, a few other things there. Could you just go into a little bit more detail, please? What you think the latest trends are going to be then, and the technologies that are going to be thriving going into 2024?
Yeah, so what we are currently seeing is everything started with the cloud transformation, so cloud migrations, lift and shift migrations. Then we had the trend moving a little bit more into agile with DevOps and self-managed teams, self-managed DevOps teams. The market recognized very quickly, DevOps is just one side of the coin. Without security, we will not be able to run safely our cloud environments, because the reason is very simple. Just imagine you have like 20, 50 teams. Do you expect 20 or 50 teams to securely run their environment? No, very likely not. I mean, you can be happy if 10%, 20% are able to do this.
Yeah.
So the market is now placing in the DevSecOps role, which tries to shift security left. So you include security in the pipelines, you include security at the very beginning of the stage, and you make it integration, a demand. It's part of the whole part. What we will be seeing now is the cognitive load is increasing for the teams. So you see the teams are now required to be experts in programming languages. They need to be expert in infrastructure as code. So they are also expert in operations, and now they also need to be experts in cybersecurity. I mean, honestly saying, if you are able to find a good cyber guy, you are lucky. If you are able to find a good cyber guy who is also able to write a code and to manage infrastructure, I mean, this is like one of a thousand which you might be finding. So you will not find those people. And the secondary thing is the cognitive load issue. The people will totally be overloaded by the topics. You cannot be a professional, you cannot be an expert in all of these topics. So you have a kind of interest and also motivation to a dedicated area. And what will be happening in the next years, you will see the topics like platform engineering growing. So platform engineering is a very simple idea. Instead of having 50 teams, DevOps teams, all doing the same, you provide a little bit, or you give a little bit of this overhead to the platform engineering team. And the platform engineering team fulfills it for the 50 teams. One example which I'm typically taking is, how much sense does it make to have 50 DevOps teams building up their own Kubernetes cluster and harden it? Doesn't much make any sense. Imagine just about the overhead. It's like 50 times multiplied with the overhead. And now you are giving this 50 times overhead to the platform engineering team. They are doing it better, with more detail, with focus for all of them. And providing it to them. So in the next year, we will see a lot of organizational structure changes. We will see a grow in Cloud Center of Excellence topics, in governance topics, and in platform engineering topics. And all of this, how can we reuse something and create it more, or make it more efficient for the whole company? These kind of topics will be coming next year.
Interesting. Your perspective on that is really appreciated. I think the security side that you mentioned on a DevOps job description, along with infrastructure as code and programming, these lists that businesses are looking for just keep on getting bigger.
Yeah.
And I think what does become apparent is that, it's very, very rare for one individual to be able to cover off 5 or 6 key topics. If you're a platform engineer, though, or a DevOps engineer listening to this podcast today, and you have a very good all-round skill set, would you be advising them to maybe take courses and certifications on security, though? Do you see that security side becoming more in demand, and that's something that they should be adding to their skill set, though, or maybe even, I don't know, dropping some of their other skills and going straight to security? Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
There's a very simple answer to this, and I explain it also to everyone, also in the large companies. Who's doing cybersecurity in a company? And the answer is very simple. Everyone. Everyone is doing cybersecurity. Even the user should be trained and learning about cybersecurity, because this is the demand for everyone. You cannot just give like this type of skill set to single people and let them fix the whole environment. This is not going to happen, because you have the phishing attacks, because you have the different layers, you have the different teams. So when you are a platform engineer today, you are definitely well advised to also jump into the cybersecurity topics, because at some point in time they will be just required. Everyone needs to implement the basic cybersecurity, and there's a differentiation. You don't need to be like a cybersecurity expert, but the basics. These are the things you need to understand, and you need to know about them, because if you are not able to treat the basics, you might bring the whole environment at risk. You are a platform engineering team, you are providing the whole platform to many, many teams, and if you are not able to handle like the basic security, this is a huge risk for the whole environment. So yes, this would be definitely a good way to go for. Typically what I recommend is the basics and models. Basics, because basics are required for many, many use cases. And models are abstraction layers. So you need to understand the model. You need to understand what is the model of incident response? What is the model of vulnerability management? How is it looking like? How does it work? So these are the things you need to know so that you can apply it if needed. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. And I think, yeah, very, very relevant information. And I know that when I speak to engineers, hiring managers, everyone is always interested to know what people's thoughts are on what is next, what responsibilities are going to be added to each individual consultant. So I think, the security topic is very, very hot right now. And I think taking everything that you've said to me today and in our previous conversations, people should definitely be looking at upskilling in this cybersecurity area. Thank you for that, David. I think just one final question that I'd have for you is, obviously you've worked in a variety of sectors in your career. Obviously, you're working for a business now that provides services to other businesses. Sectors and industries that are going to be growing or going to be more attractive going into 2024 is something that I get asked a lot, internally and externally.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what do you think are going to be the hottest sectors to keep an eye on in 2024?
Mm-hmm. So I would need to extend a little bit this question a bit. It's not only about sectors, but also about IT areas. So what are the trends in IT? And then we can also understand what are the sectors of the highest interest. What is definitely going to come in the next years is everything around AI, LLM, Gen AI, so artificial intelligence topics, data topics. Many companies are also moving into this area, trying to become a data-based company. So everything in this area. And as well, we should keep an eye. It's still very far on the horizon, but it's already visible. Everything around quantum computing, use cases around quantum. This will be the next very large boom. As soon as quantum arrives, everything will only be focused on quantum. Today, we are not yet there, but just think about like 5 to 10 years now in the future. So looking at these two areas, every sector that did not yet make value out of data or AI until today is definitely worth looking at. So all the fintech industry, the retailers always have been on the front level. So the retailers always have been these days running with the trends. So they will definitely be on the front ladder. Everything around gaming, everything around fintech. So this is very interesting. But everything also that is that has not yet been exploited to a dedicated demand. For example, think about manufacturing. Yeah, we know about Industry 4.0. We know already some companies, very few ones, are also trying to get their hands dirty and running IoT projects and retrieving data. But my personal opinion is The companies that are able to collect the data and make value out of this, maybe creating even new business models out of these, they will be interesting. And I would not say this is like only focused on dedicated sectors. It's more like focused on dedicated companies who have a good digital transformation strategy.
Brilliant, brilliant. Extremely interesting. And yeah, generative AI, data, again, you only have to turn on the television to see the demand and the boom that's going on in that space. It's a very controversial area, but it's also an area that I think we all have to be willing to adopt, and it's only going to grow. And the quantum side that you mentioned there, very, very interesting. That's something that had been discussed as well. And I think, yeah, just talking about some of those sectors like retail, manufacturing, gaming, all areas that are going to be capitalizing on this new technology that's emerging. David, thank you ever so much for joining me today. It's been really, really interesting to talk to you. You've talked about some extremely fascinating points there, and your expertise is extremely appreciated. So once again, thank you very much. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And fantastic. Great to speak to you today.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.